They have essentially said that this is the only way, this will be the only way to prove you have legal identity. And so if you don't participate in that system, as far as the state or the private sector is concerned, you don't exist. I think they sort of give it away when they say that this is the new Bretton Woods movement that needs to be seized. It's going to be a problem, reaction, solution type of situation where they've already made the solution. They've already developed what they want to be the new financial governance system after this new Bretton Woods moment. They just need some sort of big event on the scale of World War II or some large event that's equally disruptive in order to be like, all right, now it's time for a new financial governance system after this big event like they did after World War II.
About a year ago, French President Emmanuel Macron addressed the Global Finance Summit in Paris, advocating for a significant public financial shock to combat global warming. Around the same time, Klaus Schwab, founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum, echoed a similar sentiment about overhauling the global economy. Schwab declared that every country, from the US to China, and every industry, from oil and gas to technology, must undergo transformation. He referred to this as a necessary great reset of capitalism. Investigative journalist Whitney Webb views these statements as the heralds of a new international monetary system, poised to replace the current Bretton Woods framework with a blockchain-based system aimed at extensive surveillance and censorship of our daily lives. Webb's concerns are supported by comments from global elites like Macron and Mark Carney, former governor of the Bank of England, and the UN Special Envoy for Climate Action and Finance. Carney identified digital IDs, central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, and environmental, social, and governance (ESG) criteria as the cornerstones of this new world order. In a recent conversation with Mark Goodwin, editor-in-chief at Bitcoin Magazine, Whitney Webb warned that all world governments are advancing this new order, with backing from the ultra-wealthy, including Silicon Valley figures like Larry Fink. During her discussion with Goodwin, Whitney highlighted two critical elements of the new world order: digital IDs and the tokenization of nature. She expressed concern that Schwab, Fink, and their allies are on the brink of realizing their ambitious plans, which could have dire consequences for the rest of us. As we present excerpts from the video, we encourage you to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay updated with more content like this. Your support helps our channel grow. Thank you for watching.
In this context, I think the digital ID is a key enabler of the surveillance, knowing what everyone is doing at the transactional level and being able to tweak that micromanagement based on a person's activity, because the digital ID isn't just limited to the financial system, right? It's like your travel, your health history, your career history, your education credentials, your access to telecommunications, social media, the internet. With the new AI era, right, they can fuse all that data, analyze it, and depending on how they develop that AI algorithm, use it to control people really in unprecedented ways. I think the digital ID and the CBDC and its private sector equivalence project is something that we're always sort of intended to be the same system. So there's documents from the UN, from the BIS, and related groups that are sort of that have been working on this for years. That essentially frame one as essential to the other, using words about, this is inclusionary, the whole, marketing behind digital ID is that everyone needs a legal ID because otherwise they're unable to access essential services, right? And so the idea is we all have to be included in the system, and they directly link that to the concept of financial inclusion and banking the unbanked, which you brought up earlier. But inherently, these systems actually function in an exclusionary way based on how they've been set up. They have essentially said that this is the only way, this will be the only way to prove you have legal identity. And so if you don't participate in that system, as far as the state or the private sector is concerned, you don't exist. So by not participating in that system, you're inherently excluded from the economic system and really essentially everything. So you have to onboard to the surveillance state or be excluded from everything. So it's, being marketed as inclusion, but it's really inherently exclusionary.
How does this system get triggered? How do we move into the Mark Carney-ism?
Well, I think they sort of give it away when they say that this is the new Bretton Woods movement that needs to be seized. So Bretton Woods was what came out of World War II, essentially, and was the creation of a new financial governance system after World War II. And this is essentially an effort to create a new financial governance system system that was announced well before any sort of crisis like that, but it's probably going to need a crisis of that level to be implemented and to convince people to onboard at scale. And if you subscribe to the theory that all wars are bankers' wars, which there is plenty of evidence to support that, I would say, that seems to suggest that perhaps, this is the it's going to be a problem reaction solution type of situation where they've already made the solution. They've already developed what they want to be the new financial governance system after this new Bretton Woods moment. They just need some sort of big event on the scale of World War II or some large event that's, equally disruptive in order to be like, all right, now it's time for a new financial governance system after this big event like they did after World War II.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the thing that's so interesting about this like debt bubble exploding is that when you know that the debt bubble is going to explode and you want to explode it into the new system, the way that you sort of trigger that into the system that you want to get the masses to go with you is you actually want to have the most debt obligations on the record, like on the board, so that when the system pops, they'll all pop. When the debt bubble pops, every debt bubble will pop. It will be everything all at once. It won't just be like, oh, Japan's fine, the US is like, it won't work like that. Everything will pop at once. So in this weird way, you actually want to create as much debt as possible right before the pin bursts the bubble. And then you can offer this, hey, we'll service your debt 1-to-1 if you come join this new universal tokenized ledger. Just sign up here, do a selfie of your face and give us your biometrics, and then here you are.
The plan is in motion, and now the global elites just need a major crisis to complete their strategy. This won't be a minor setback, but a full collapse of the global financial system. The fallout will devastate millions, workers, parents, and caregivers, while the wealthiest 1% will gain exponentially. Whitney predicts that this crisis could be as severe, if not worse, than the economic devastation of World War II. When it ends, central and commercial banks will introduce digital currencies, encouraging people to join the new system as compensation for their losses. Unfortunately, people will only recover a fraction of what was lost and will have to surrender their privacy and other rights to the elite. Imagine a world where you can't buy more meat because every transaction is monitored, and you've reached your meat consumption limit. This is the future Whitney and Mark are warning us about. And it doesn't stop there. Larry Fink and others are planning to tokenize everything, including the natural world.
Well, it seems like in Larry Fink's case in particular, there's a goal, a big ambition there to develop new asset classes that can be used to basically fuel their existing business model and perpetuate it for millennia forward. Mm-hmm. So one of these that I've been writing about for a few years is the whole idea of natural assets, what they call nature's economy. And one of the groups that has been sort of propelling this forward, at least one of the earlier groups, the Intrinsic Exchange Group, which is a product of the Rockefeller Foundation and the multilateral development banking system, has a graphic on their website called The Opportunity, and they show there the existing amount of assets in the world economy, and then show what it, if we unlock natural assets, how nature's economy, it's like 6 times the amount of existing assets in the economy today. And so as an asset manager, BlackRock being able to unlock and take control of as many natural assets as possible that aren't currently part of the financial system is obviously a way for them to perpetuate what they do and deepen and expand their control over not just people in the existing financial system, but really over the natural world as well, and essentially turn everything alive into a tradable Wall Street financial product. And the goal, as Fink has stated, is to have all of this on a universal ledger, on blockchain presumably, and have it be trackable and surveillable, which is interesting if you look at it through the context of risk management, which is something that Larry Fink is very open as having been one of the guiding lights of his whole career. And so by having it all surveillable and and, automated in a sense. He's able to have his risk management AI thing, Aladdin, sort of exercise control over it in unprecedented ways, I think, for their benefit. And then, of course, a lot of what's happening now as we're moving into this new financial governance system is the push to change all of the infrastructure towards this, quote unquote green a green model, I guess, or decarbonization, right? Which is, of course, interface with the global carbon market, but not necessarily so. Like, it doesn't have to be. But the push is obviously to create a bunch of new infrastructure all over the world, and BlackRock is positioning themselves to be one of the key players in that space. They acquired, I think they're called GIP, one of the biggest infrastructure, developers in the world. And I think one of their top guys at Davos just a few months ago was talking about how they're betting really big on infrastructure going forward, and it's going to be one of the biggest investment opportunities of the next several decades, actually. So I think they're quite ambitious, and if people aren't aware of this, I'm sure they'll get away with it, but we'll see. One of the things too about the natural asset thing, at least as far as the natural asset corporation model is concerned, is that you literally just go into a forest or you go to a river or lake and you identify the natural asset, and then at no cost to you, just after identifying it, you issue shares in the natural asset, a lake, a forest, whatever, and then you sell those shares to sovereign wealth funds, asset managers, whatever, and then you have an IPO and generate all this money. I mean, it's literally just pointing out something outside and being like, this is mine, I'm going to fractionalize it and sell it to people, and you're producing money in like, out of thin air, right, essentially. Yeah. And you're able to do that. I mean, the natural world is vast and huge, and they're doing this, they're financializing it all, as framing it as the only way to save the planet. Right. But really, it's the only way for them to save their insane debt racket.
The real issue is not just their plans, but the half-truths they spread, luring people into a false sense of normalcy until it's much too late to avert disaster. They have embedded themselves so deeply in our systems and society that only extraordinary measures could halt their agenda. That's why Whitney emphasizes the need to exit the system before it's too late to protect oneself from what's coming. Please share your thoughts on Whitney's warnings about the potential collapse of the global financial system in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more videos. Thanks for watching.